Welcome back, my wonderful friends, to our channel. If you are a fan of amazing dramas and captivating stories, you are exactly in the right place. In today's video, we have prepared a recap of an incredible series that will steal your heart from the very first moment and make you live every single detail alongside the characters. Before we dive into the events, please support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment below with your thoughts. Your support helps our family grow even bigger. Grab your favorite drink and let's begin. The drama begins with our heroine Yoon, who has 3 brothers and is characterized by a very strong and impulsive personality. One day, on her way home after buying lunch, she bumps into her brother's ex-girlfriend, whom he had recently broken up with. The ex-girlfriend believes that Yoon is the reason her brother left her, so she attacks Yoon with her friends and beats her severely. But in reality, Yoon had nothing to do with the breakup. Yoon returns home angry and starts screaming at her brothers, demanding to know which of them dumped that girl. She warns them that they must confess before she punishes them. When no one answers her, she takes a picture of them in a messy state and threatens to post it on social media if they do not confess. One of her brothers finally confesses, so Yoon immediately hits him and scolds him for breaking the girl's heart. Her brother brushes it off, saying that this is not the first time he has dumped a girl, and since he is handsome, girls always fall in love with him. He belittles Yoon's anger, calling it childish. From that moment on, Yoon develops a deep hatred for handsome men. After that, we are introduced to the hero, Kang, who is an extremely attractive young man. One day, while drawing in a restaurant, he notices a girl sitting with her boyfriend and stealing glances at him. When her boyfriend steps away to go to the bathroom, Kang boldly asks for her phone number. The girl, captivated by his handsomeness, quickly writes her number on a napkin. But instead of keeping the number, Kang follows her boyfriend to the bathroom and hands him the napkin. When the boyfriend asks what this is, Kang coldly replies that it is his girlfriend's number, the one he thinks is in love with him. He warns him that she flirts very easily and is not the loyal type. Then he leaves. By coincidence, it turns out that this boyfriend is Yoon's brother, who has enrolled in the same school where Yoon now works as a coach. Yoon gets very angry with him and insists that he stop dating girls altogether, as she is always the one who ends up getting beaten because of his relationships. She refuses to let him enjoy his life while she bears the consequences. Later, Yoon receives a call from her boyfriend, Young, inviting her to dinner. She excitedly assumes that he is going to propose to her. Overwhelmed with happiness, she rushes to her best friend, asking to borrow a dress so she can look her absolute best for the engagement. At first, her friend refuses, but she eventually gives in. Yoon arrives at the restaurant with her heart pounding with excitement. As Young reaches into his pocket, she eagerly anticipates the moment he will pull out a ring and ask her to marry him. But to her shock, he pulls out a mirror instead and tells her that he invited her here to break up with her. He explains that he needs someone who matches his financial and social status, someone beautiful and elegant, unlike her. Heartbroken, Yoon runs to her best friend, crying bitterly, but her friend tells her to stop crying. In reaction, Yoon turns to food for comfort, as eating is the most important thing to her. Meanwhile, we learn more about Kang, who is very wealthy and athletic, but he wasn't always this way. In school, he suffered from being overweight and was constantly bullied because of his bad odor. No one liked him, and he suffered a lot. Now, whenever he remembers those painful days, his stomach turns, and he barely manages to hold himself together. He resolves to face his past and show his old bullies how successful he has become. Kang decides to attend a reunion party where all his former classmates gather. When he arrives, everyone is stunned by his transformation. The girls at the party swarm around him, all of them except for Yoon, who remains uninterested due to her hatred of handsome men. Every time someone tries to talk to him, Yoon interrupts them by asking for food, which annoys Kang. Then Kang realizes something shocking. Yoon is the girl from his past, the girl who witnessed his worst days in school when he couldn't control himself. He leaves the party quickly after being overwhelmed by the memories. Returning home, Kang cannot stop thinking about Yoon and the things she did back then. He goes to a doctor and draws her face, determined to keep this picture in front of him so he can control himself when he sees her again. Meanwhile, Yoon decides that she needs to reinvent herself and become elegant and cute so she can win back her ex-boyfriend. She makes a deal with her friend. If her friend helps her impress her ex-boyfriend, Yoon will help her get closer to the guy she likes. That night, they go to a restaurant only to discover that her ex-boyfriend's friend is none other than Kang. It turns out that he arranged this meeting so he could see Yoon again. He confidently asks her to leave their friends alone for a while and spend some time with him instead. As he watches her, Kang assumes that she must be falling for his looks and charm. He contemplates whether he should make her chase him or take the the initiative himself. Finally, he explicitly asks her to date him, but to his shock, Yoon simply refuses because he is handsome. Kang is taken aback by Yoon's reaction and acceptance, or rather her attitude, which unexpectedly throws him into the same emotional turmoil he had been trying to avoid. Frustrated, he rushes to his doctor, who advises him that he must appear strong and superior in front of her. The doctor suggests that he buy an expensive car to impress her. The next day, Kang follows the advice and buys a luxury car. At the same time, his friend sees Yoon standing with a handsome man and immediately informs Kang. Kang becomes deeply upset, unaware that this man is actually her brother, and his sorrow deepens. The following day, Kang and his friend go to a restaurant, only to catch a glimpse of Lim with another handsome young man. He assumes they are dating, not realizing that this too is her brother. He feels disheartened and mourns the money wasted on his expensive car. Moving on to Kang's family, given that they are extremely wealthy, they have the power to appoint him as the new principal of a school. By coincidence, it turns out to be the same school where Yoon works. When Yoon sees him, she glares at him and jokingly threatens, "I will kill you, you rich boy." This instantly triggers Kang's old condition, but he struggles to maintain his composure in front of everyone. After calming down, he takes a tour of the school to get familiar with it and prepare himself for when he inevitably faces Yoon. He orders his secretary to secretly take pictures of her, under the pretext of taking a picture of him. When he later zooms in on the photos, he realizes that Yoon had caught him red-handed, staring at him with a terrified expression. Later, Yoon meets a friend, who tells her that Kang is not just the principal, but is actually the son of the school's owner. Her friend warns Yoon that she must be respectful if she wants to keep her job. During a staff meeting, Kang watches Yoon eat as if she hasn't seen food before, which shocks all the staff. The meal consists entirely of fruits and vegetables, disappointing everyone who is expecting meat and barbecue. A doctor working at the school, who happens to have a crush on Yoon, tries to get closer to her by offering her food. Later, Kang asks Yoon how she would handle a situation where a student is bullied and called ugly or fat. Yoon replies bluntly, saying that the student wasn't lying, but rather it was the harsh truth. Kang gets upset. But Yoon's friend diffuses the tension by accidentally spilling a drink on him. She then pulls Yoon aside and warns her that if she doesn't apologize, she might get fired. Yoon reluctantly approaches Kang, still frustrated, and apologizes sarcastically, muttering that he is as annoying as ever. In an attempt to calm the situation, Kang quickly accepts her apology, saying, Okay, I accept. I am truly just a petty man." Yoon walks away feeling satisfied and happy, while Kang is left completely shaken. Afterwards, the staff begins looking for Kang, who has mysteriously disappeared. Yoon's friend scolds her, saying, "Where did you send him, you troublemaker?" And Yoon insists she has no idea. Meanwhile, Kang visits the doctor again, who notices that his rapid heartbeat indicates he is in love. Kang refuses to believe it and consults another doctor, who simply tells him he is suffering from a little stress. Taking this as a form of reassurance, Kang skips work for a few days to clear his mind. In the meantime, Yoon spends her time alone, only to be surprised when the school doctor brings her an apple, something he now does regularly. Later, she comes across an old childhood photo of herself with Kang. She playfully wonders why he grew up to be so handsome, wishing he had stayed unattractive. Yoon later seeks out Kang to get his approval for her racing team's budget. However, Kang misinterprets this, assuming she is just looking for an excuse to see him because she is secretly crushing on him. He tells her he is busy, but if it is really urgent, she can come to his house. To his surprise, she agrees without hesitation and shows up at his house late at night. He waits for her nervously, becoming even more confused when she arrives carrying a bottle of lemon juice. Trying to act normal, he feigns indifference and listens as she explains the budget request. Yoon, unaccustomed to the size of his mansion, gets lost while looking for the bathroom. When she returns, she accidentally spills her drink on herself, forcing her to take off her shirt. She then sits next to Kang to continue discussing the budget, but her presence makes him so nervous that he panics and runs away. Yoon follows him, and in an unexpected moment of tension, they bump into each other and stand very close. Everywhere Kang turns, Yoon is there, leading him to believe he is cursed with Yoon syndrome. Ultimately, he returns her shirt after washing and ironing it himself, and also sends her the signed approval for her budget. It is clear that he is smitten with her, but he refuses to admit it. A few days later, Yoon accidentally sees Kang on a date with an elegant and beautiful woman. As Kang watches his date eat in a cute and refined manner, he can't help but remember how Yoon eats like a hungry monster. Despite being with someone else, he finds himself unable to stop thinking about Yoon. Even when he returns home, she remains on his mind. When Kang touches her, he realizes she is real and is taken by surprise. She then surprises him with a gift. They walk together for a while, and Yoon remembers a gesture she used to do to him when they were children. Afterwards, she leaves him standing there, lost in his thoughts. The next day, Kang visits his doctor, who advises him to face his fears and overcome them. Fueled by determination, Kang decides to buy flowers for Yoon and goes to give them to her. However, the moment she looks at him, he panics and immediately tosses the flowers out the nearest window, convinced he still cannot control himself. Later, Kang meets with his doctor, and Yoon happens to see him hugging someone, mistakenly assuming that Kang prefers men over women. The following day, Kang runs into Yoon and asks her about the racing team. She tells him they are practicing well every day, and the budget he approved was very helpful. She also gives him some advice, telling him that he should always chase his dreams, keep his eyes on the finish line, and push himself harder to reach his goal. After saying this, she walks away. Kang watches her until she reaches the finish line on the track. He then calls her and says, "I can see the finish line of my dream right in front of me," which of course refers to her. He later sends her a message asking her to meet him at a specific place. When Yoon arrives, she's surprised to find that Kang has dedicated a formal space for the team to train. Overwhelmed with joy, she thanks him, but he then tells her that he wants her to always be by his side and never leave him. However, Yoon remembers the girl she saw with Kang at the restaurant and tells him she likes someone else. Feeling rejected, Kang leaves and vents all his frustration to his best friend. Later, Yoon starts thinking about how strange it was for Kang to confess to her after she had clearly seen him with another woman. She feels like something doesn't add up, so she goes to him and tells him she is willing to be his friend. But when Kang tries to touch her hand, she grabs his cheek and warns him, "No, I said just friends. Anything beyond that and you'll get a slap to the face." Kang quickly apologizes and offers to walk her home. When they reach her house, Kang sees her brothers and is immediately attacked by them. He yells in confusion, "What is going on? How can you be in a relationship with two guys and live with them and you're all okay with this?" But he then realizes that they are actually her brothers, and his mood instantly shifts to joy, feeling relieved that she isn't dating anyone. As he leaves, he is so overjoyed that he literally starts dancing with happiness. The next day, Kang waits for Yoon outside. When she sees him, she runs to him and hugs him tightly, treating him like one of her brothers. But Kang is surprised. He had brought her to return the hug, but Yoon scolds him, saying, "No, I can hug you, but you cannot hug me." The next day at school, Kang watches Yoon from a distance as she trains on the field. He feels happy just seeing her. His assistant notices his unusually cheerful mood and is puzzled by how much he has changed recently. Later, Yoon visits the doctor and notices he has a bag of potato chips. Because she loves food, she tries to take it from him. She eventually succeeds, but in the process, she ends up falling on her legs and becomes unable to move them. The doctor is forced to treat her injury. At that moment, Kang arrives and sees the doctor touching Yoon's leg. He angrily yells at him to let her go, warning him never to touch her again. He then grabs Yoon and pulls her away. He reprimands her, asking her not to get close to anyone else or he will punish her. He then storms into his office, still furious. Once inside, he grabs his phone and starts looking at pictures of them together. He zooms in on her face and mutters to himself, "She is so cute and really beautiful." Meanwhile, Yoon feels confused by Kang's jealous reaction. She decides to go to Kang's friend to get some answers. She corners him and forces him to talk, even treating him harshly until he finally confesses. Kang's friend tells her, "Kang wants you to fall in love with him. He wants to do to you what you did to him back then. He wants revenge." Yoon is utterly shocked and immediately confronts Kang, telling him she has found out the truth. She scolds him, calling him a liar and a pathetic person, and demands that he stay away from her, saying she never wants to see him again. A furious Kang storms into his friend's place. His friend defends himself, saying, "I only told her so she would leave you alone. She is only after your money, and honestly, you cannot take another hit. She already broke my arm, and I cannot take any more beatings because of you." The next day, Yoon goes to school having decided she wants a break from life. Her best friend tries to pull her out of her slump, but Yoon insists, "No, leave me alone. I don't belong in this world anymore. I need to eliminate every handsome man from my life." Her friend tries to stop her, but Yoon is determined. After that, Kang summons Yoon and orders her to come to his office immediately. Even though she despises him, she has no choice but to go. After all, he is the principal. He tells her she will now be responsible for changing his car's oil and that she will be his personal driver from now on, and if she refuses, she will be fired. Yoon agrees, feeling frustrated but with no other choice, and feels completely humiliated. She later goes to the doctor and asks him for something to calm her nerves. As usual, she vents her anger about Kang, and the equally annoyed doctor tells her he is ready to punch Kang himself. He just needs a signal from her. Later, Yoon angrily deletes all her pictures with Kang. On the other hand, Kang also tries to delete their pictures, but finds himself unable to do so, as he cannot bring himself to erase all the good memories they share. That night, Yoon visits her best friend, who tells her that Kang has an invited all the school staff to a fancy, expensive restaurant. She encourages her to go, saying, "At least enjoy the food. You can kill him later if you want, but let's eat first." And Yoon decides to go. At the restaurant, King tells her not to drink lemon juice because she is the one who will drive him home now that she is his driver. But Yoon ignores him and drinks a lot of lemon juice anyway, frustrated by the whole situation. Later, she goes outside and King follows her. She snatches his car keys from him and refuses to give them back, but suddenly she faints. The doctor appears just in time and catches her before she falls. He begins to carry her to his car, but King blocks his way, and the two men start fighting over who will take her home. Yoon briefly wakes up, sees them fighting, and simply walks away. By the time they stop and turn around, she is gone. They rush to her house to check on her, but aren't sure if she made it home safely. Then suddenly, a taxi pulls up, and they quickly hide. Yoon gets out of the taxi and enters her house. The next day, her best friend tells her that she actually stole King's car while drunk on lemon juice the night before. Yoon asks in confusion, "What do you expect me to do? You know I lose my memory when I drink too much lemon juice." That same morning, the school principal arrives at work in a taxi carrying a large bottle of lemon juice. He hands it to Yoon, who immediately becomes suspicious. "Wait, do you think he poisoned this? Does he want to kill me in revenge for stealing his car?" She whispers to her friend, "I swear I didn't mean to steal it. I don't even remember." Meanwhile, Kang discovers that his secretary has been overloading Yoon with work. He storms into his place shouting, "No one gives Yoon orders but me." His friend sighs, saying, "Wow, what a misunderstanding. You're trying to help her and she thinks you're poisoning her. We nice guys really can't catch a break." On the other hand, the school doctor, having heard that Yoon hates handsome men but loves food, starts to formulate a plan. He decides to make himself less attractive and constantly brings her food to get closer to her. One day, the doctor asks Yoon out on a dinner date. She agrees casually, and he gives her an expensive dress for the occasion. When she tries it on, she complains, "This is the first time I've worn such a fancy dress. It looks terrible on me, doesn't it?" The completely smitten doctor replies, "This is the first time I've seen such a beautiful dress. Or maybe it's just because you're wearing it." At the same time, Kang finds out that Yoon is going on a date with the doctor, and he shouts in shock, "What? How is this happening?" At dinner, in front of everyone, the doctor boldly declares, "I fell in love with Yoon from the first moment I saw her. She is mine." After dinner, Yoon returns the dress and refuses to keep it because it is too expensive. She thanks the doctor for his kind words in front of everyone, but insists that she doesn't believe him. The doctor tells her, "I wasn't just saying that to impress people, I really mean it." But Yoon doesn't believe him and simply walks away. Meanwhile, Kang sits alone and talks to a stuffed toy, venting about how ridiculous Yoon is and how much she frustrates him. The next day, he sees Yoon with the doctor again and immediately summons her to his office. He orders her to come right away and then scolds her, saying, "Your work performance is slipping. I want a full report on the school's racing team right now." Yoon gets angry but tries to calm herself down and writes the report. She heads to Kang's office, but he isn't there. When she calls him, he tells her to bring the report to his house instead. Even though she doesn't want to, she has no choice but to go. When she arrives, she notices how attached Kang is to his stuffed doll, Mr. Potato. She teases him about it, saying he seems to really like it. A flustered Kang quickly denies it, saying, No, I don't even like it. I'll get rid of it soon." But as soon as Yoon steps into the kitchen, Kang turns to the doll and whispers, "I lied to her. I could never get rid of you." Meanwhile, Yoon starts eating everything she finds in the kitchen, prompting Kang to decide to cook her something healthy instead. When she tastes his food, she is surprised and tells him it is really delicious, even feeding him a bite with her own hands. The next day, Kang asks her to go to his house again. He tells her he has an important meeting and that she has to drive to take him there. Yoon keeps refusing, but in reality, she just wants to know who he is meeting. She gets upset, assuming he is going on a date with another woman. Overcome with frustration, she starts picking fights with random people on the street, and even yells at a passerby who has nothing to do with the situation. She is about to get into a physical altercation when Kang suddenly appears at the right moment, playing the role of the cool, invincible hero. But Yoon is still annoyed that he didn't tell her who the meeting was with, so she returns home angry. Her brother notices her bad mood and immediately figures out that Kang is the reason. He smiles sarcastically and says, "Just give me the signal and I'll go get him for you. I'll tie him up and beat him properly this time." Yoon sighs and says that if she wanted to do that, she could handle him herself. She doesn't need anyone's help. That night, she falls asleep and has a painful memory from her past. She remembers the tragic event that led to the death of her parents and how she felt responsible for it. The next morning, she wakes up in distress and starts running, trying to escape the overwhelming sense of guilt.
Kang, who had been secretly watching her, sees her break down crying. Kang suddenly appears in front of her and confesses his love, but it is the worst possible timing. She is not in the right state of mind. What she needed in that moment wasn't love, but comfort and understanding. Without thinking, Yoon slaps him. Kang is shocked, unable to understand why she did that. He leaves brokenhearted and goes straight to his doctor, finding him asleep. Kang wakes him up and tells him everything. The doctor advises him not to give up and encourages him to express his feelings to Yoon again. The next day at school, Yoon seems distracted and lost in her thoughts. The doctor notices this and places his hand on her head to check on her. At that moment, Kang walks in, sees them, and immediately removes the doctor's hand from Yoon's head. He glares at him coldly and says, "You don't pet a dog while it's eating, my friend." From that on, every time Kang tries to talk to Yoon, she avoids him. She even starts emailing him the school reports just to avoid seeing him in person. One evening, Yoon goes to her room to relax, only to find Kang standing there. She asks in astonishment, "How did you even get in here?" Kang smiles and replies, "I will show up wherever you go until you tell me what's wrong." As he looks around her room, he picks up a childhood photo of her and smiles, saying she was really cute as a child. He tries to get closer to her, but she pushes him away, so he leaves defeated. Yoon later meets her best friend and tells her everything. Her friend, who had already anticipated her reaction, completely ignores Kang and asks her instead, "So, what do you think about the doctor?" At the same time, Kang sits at home crying like a baby, not understanding why Yoon keeps pushing him away. Later that night, Yoon suddenly shows up at Kang's house. She tells him he cannot ignore her like this and that they need to talk. She begs him to stay away from her, pleading with him not to come near her anymore. With a broken heart, she drowns her emotions in lemon juice, staying up late. In her drunken state, she video calls Kang and slurs, "So because I told you to stay away, you actually listened to me? You don't really love me, do you? You're supposed to ignore what I say. You shouldn't listen to me, you idiot." That same night, she shows up at his house again and makes him promise that he will never leave her no matter what, even if she asks him to. Of course, she was completely oblivious due to the lemon juice. The next morning when she wakes up, she realizes what she did and is in utter shock. But Kang took her words seriously, and now that she has given him a reason to stay, there is no way he will ever let her go. Kang forces her to be his driver again, which annoys her. In frustration, she tells him she is going on a school trip with the students the next day, and that the school doctor will also accompany them. However, the following morning, Yoon is shocked to find that Kang has already packed his bags and is ready to go even before the students. Not only that, but he assigns the doctor a task to keep him busy so he cannot join the trip. Throughout the trip, Kang watches Yoon closely, admiring her beauty. When she decides to go into the sea, he tries to persuade her not to do it, warning her about bacteria and pollution. But Yoon, with her usual stubbornness, refuses to listen and goes in anyway. Meanwhile, the doctor insists on coming and catches up with them at the end of the day, and they all meet up again. Yoon begs Kang to leave her alone and to stop making her think about him all the time, but he doesn't care and firmly declares that he won't leave her no matter what. In desperation, Yoon calls her best friend and asks her to come on the trip to save her from both Kang and the doctor, who are trying to get close to her. Her friend arrives and they all go out to dinner. During the meal, Kang keeps poking Yoon's leg under the table, which annoys her. She makes an excuse to go to the bathroom, but Kang follows her and catches up with her in the garden. He confidently tells her, "I know you love me," before walking away. When Yoon returns, her best friend immediately asks her, "What happened? Did he feed you raisins?" Yoon jokes, saying, "If you didn't slap him, it means you love him too." Later, Kang sends a message to Yoon asking her to meet him for an important matter. Out of caution, Yoon wears thick layers of clothing, fully prepared to avoid any surprise attacks like the last time. Every time Kang tries to get closer, she steps backward to make sure he doesn't get the chance to repeat his previous move. Meanwhile, the doctor decides to take a step and asks his family to help him become the new school principal, succeeding Kang. The next day, the doctor visits Yoon at her house and tells her that he has officially become the new school principal. He brings her a cake, and the moment Yoon sees it, she lights up with excitement and devours it as if she had never seen a cake before. She isn't shocked by the doctor's promotion. She is just delighted by the food. When her best friend arrives and sees Yoon eating the whole cake by herself, she scolds her, saying, "Are you really eating all of this without me, you greedy girl?" Her friend then tells her that if she continues to ignore Kang and act indifferently, he will eventually get tired and leave her alone. But deep down, Yoon doesn't actually want him to leave, so she rushes to see him, leaving without saying much, and walks away hoping he won't distance himself from her like that. Later, when she is alone, she reflects on her actions and asks herself, "What am I even doing, and what have I gained from this?" Meanwhile, Kang visits his grandmother and begs her to let him keep his position as the school principal, but the doctor is determined to take over the position. And it is clear that both men are doing all of this just to be closer to Yoon. The next day, it is officially announced that the doctor has taken over as the new principal, which severely disappoints Kang. Yoon also feels upset, realizing she won't be able to see Kang at school every day anymore. The doctor takes the opportunity to confess his love to her, but she shocks him by saying that she actually likes Kang, and then walks away. When Yoon returns home, she finds a drawing of Mr. Potato from Kang, along with an invitation to go out together. This time, she agrees. Go to an amusement park, have fun playing games, and later watch a sad movie at the cinema. Kang gets emotionally moved and starts crying, while Yoon remains unaffected. He sobs and asks her, "How are you not crying? Do you even have a heart?" Yoon replies, "I will never cry over a book or a movie, no matter how sad it is." Then she asks him, "Do you really think your love for me will last, knowing that I am emotionally distant and cold?" Kang reassures her, his eyes still tearing up. "I will never leave you over something like this." Later, Yoon recalls a painful childhood memory when she asked her parents to take her to Kang's house so she could apologize to him. She had bullied him in the past, calling him fat and ugly. That night, while they were on their way to see him, a tragic accident occurred and both of her parents died.
Back in the present, the doctor still refuses to give up on Yoon. He constantly brings her chocolate and sweets, knowing how much she loves food, even after she has already rejected him. Yoon meets Kang and confesses, saying, "I know I treat you badly." Kang smiles and says, "Even if you treat me like this my whole life, the moment I hear you call me my love, I will forget everything immediately." The next day, Yoon goes to Kang's house with a serious expression. She asks him about his luxurious house, his clothes, and his wealth, pretending as if she suddenly cares about his background. Kang listens in confusion, while Yoon explains, "You're rich, your family is powerful, and I have nothing. I am an orphan, and I have no wealth or connections. So why are you with me?" She then asks him to break up with her before things develop any further. Kang is utterly shocked and holds on to her, asking, "What's wrong with you? You were never like this before." He pulls her into a tight embrace, refusing to let her go. At that moment, Kang's mother appears and is overwhelmingly happy to finally see her son hugging a woman. She happily declares, "That's it. From now on, Yoon is my son's girlfriend." Yoon, feeling extremely embarrassed, greets her awkwardly before quickly running away. The next day, Yoon starts to distance herself from Kang, refusing to joke around or give him any space to talk to her. But as time passes, Kang starts to get bored of her cold behavior. Kang spends his time talking to his doll, Mr. Potato, complaining about Yoon to it non-stop. At the same time, the doctor continues bringing food to Yoon every time he sees her, knowing it is her weakness. Kang begins to avoid Yoon because of the way she treats him, but his love for her remains buried deep inside him. Whenever he misses her, he finds himself going to her house, standing outside and fade, "I miss you." Then he turns around and walks away. One night, Yoon stands in front of his car, blocking his way so he cannot leave. Upon seeing her like this, Kang gets out, hands her the keys, and walks away instead, leaving her with the car. Yoon apologizes, saying, "All right, I'll let you go. You never loved me anyway. You are heartless." She is truly upset and torn between her feelings. Deep down, she knows Kang is not responsible for her parents' death, but she cannot forgive him. And because of that, she continues to push him away and blame him for everything. But at the same time, she cannot bring herself to let him go completely either. The next day, Yoon confronts Kang and bluntly tells him she doesn't love him before walking away. Kang, thoroughly shocked, runs after her shouting, "You are lying, you love me, and no matter how hard you try, I won't let you go." He grabs her and says, "Listen, no matter how stubborn you are, no matter where you go, and no matter how much you resist it, you will never love anyone else but me." Trying to stay calm, Yoon tells him, "Get a grip on yourself and stop chasing dreams that will never come true." As time goes by, Kang's condition deteriorates. No longer being the school principal means he no longer sees Yoon every day, and the distance slowly breaks him. One day, he finds Yoon sitting outside his house without knocking on the door, and she keeps doing it over and over, sitting outside without saying a word. And one night, when she does it again, Kang finally comes out and tells her, "You are selfish. You are cruel." At that moment, Yoon finally opens up, telling him everything about her past, her guilt, and how she blames herself for her parents' death. She then walks away with tears streaming down her face. She continues walking, only to bump into the doctor. He tries to console her, but at that moment, Kang appears and asks her, "Why are you crying? You are the one who left me, not the other way around." The doctor intervenes and asks Kang to back off, warning him not to touch her. Yoon, still burdened with emotions, goes to her older brother, who comforts her and helps her sleep. Her brother feels deeply concerned because he has never seen her this broken before.
Meanwhile, Kang feels enraged and vents his frustration by punching his pillows every time someone mentions Yoon's name. The next day, Yoon's best friend notices she is upset, so she takes her out. She convinces her to wear short clothes and they go out for a wild girls' night. Her friend then starts taking pictures of Yoon and sends them to Kang with a caption, "We've decided to live recklessly now. Hope you enjoy the view." That night, Kang drives recklessly, filled with anger and jealousy, and ends up getting into an accident. Later, Yoon receives a call from Kang's phone, and a stranger on the other end tells her that the owner of this phone has been in a serious accident. She rushes to his house, terrified, only to find Kang completely fine. She demands in shock, "What happened to your phone?" Kang simply replies, "I lost it during the accident." Overwhelmed with emotion, Yoon asks him, "Why did you come to my house?" After a short silence, she finally confesses, "I love you. I was lying before. I really love you." Kang replies, surprised but unable to keep up the act any longer, "I love you too, but I cannot lie to you anymore." He then confesses the truth, that he was involved in the accident that caused her parents' death. He tells her she needs to stay away from him, that she deserves better, and that she should forget him completely. The next day, Yoon shows up at Kang's house again, but this time he refuses to see her. He tells her, "You don't deserve this pain." However, Yoon manages to get in thanks to his doctor, who secretly lets her inside. They sit down and finally have an honest conversation. Kang explains that he never meant to lie to her. He was just too afraid to tell her the truth. He begs her to leave and forget him. Heartbroken, Yoon complies with his request and walks away. But even after rejecting her multiple times, Kang remains the only person trying to find a reason to be happy, despite knowing that he might have just lost her forever. Kang becomes increasingly frustrated, especially with his doctor. At one point, he asked the doctor to cut a loose thread on his shirt. The doctor, trembling with fear, accidentally rips the entire shirt instead. Meanwhile, late at night, Yoon sneaks out of her house without her brother noticing. She heads straight to Kang's house. When she arrives, he tells her to go home because it is too late, but Yoon refuses. She tells him, "I don't want to go home. I want to stay here with you tonight. I want to be close to you, just like all couples do." Kang replies in surprise, "Yes, but I don't really know what couples do when they spend time together. Do they just sit and talk? What exactly do they do?" Yoon gives him a furious look and says, "I know exactly what they do, you ignorant fool. But anyway, I just want you to copy everything I do and follow my lead." Meanwhile, Yoon's older brother notices she is missing from the house. He immediately calls her best friend and finds out that she went to Kang's house. He furiously rushes over there. Back at Kang's house, Yoon confidently tells him that the first thing they need to do is dance. She begins to dance in the silliest way possible, showing off her expertise, or rather, her lack thereof. At that moment, her brother and her best friend storm into the place. Her brother drags her outside while she screams, "How dare you! I was just trying to have a romantic moment with my boyfriend. What is your problem?" Her brother angrily declares, "You will never see Kang again." But Yoon replies with a smug smile, "Oh really? We'll see about that." She grabs the nearest object and chases him, ready to make him regret his decision. Her brother protests, saying, "Wait, you were just looking for an excuse to hit me, weren't you?" He adds, still angry, "And besides, Kang is still too young. How do you expect him to take responsibility for an entire family?" Yoon, still determined, tells him, "That is none of your business. We love each other, and that is all that matters." The next day, Yoon's friend takes one look at her outfit and gasps, "It's a good thing I caught you before Kang saw you. What is this mess? Are you trying to embarrass yourself?" She hands her new clothes, saying, "Wear this instead. Trust me, and you will thank me later." When Yoon meets Kang at the restaurant, he cannot take his eyes off her. Her brother notices this and warns Kang, "Enough staring. Show some respect before I punch you into next week." Meanwhile, the doctor is still trying to win Yoon over, continuing to bring her chocolates and food. This time, he directly invites her to dinner. Yoon agrees immediately, seeing it as an opportunity. During dinner, she tells him, "I want to ask you something. Please stop liking me." The doctor finally realizes that Yoon is hopelessly in love with Kang. He apologizes and says, accepting defeat, "I tried my best, but I guess I'll stop bringing you chocolates now." Yoon smiles and tells him, "You are actually a really nice guy." She gives him a friendly hug. At that moment, Kang walks in and sees them. The doctor senses danger, quickly lets go of Yoon and whispers, "I have a feeling I might not survive tonight." He then takes off running. Kang chases after him immediately, shouting, "I'm going to kill you." After that, Kang returns to Yoon, determined to be with her no matter what. Yoon later tells her best friend, "Everything went exactly as planned. We are finally together." Her best friend, shocked by how cunning she is, exclaims, "You are so sly." Yoon quickly covers her mouth and whispers, "Shh, there's my..." As time goes on, Yoon and Kang grow even closer, bonding over Mr. Potato. Kang even teaches Yoon how to take proper care of it. One day, Kang goes to Yoon's brothers with a serious request. He wants to marry Yoon. Surprisingly, her brothers agree without hesitation. Kang then surprises Yoon with a beautiful white dress, exactly like the one she dreamed of when she was a child. Finally, Kang and Yoon get married. They live happily ever after with a house full of children, boys and girls. And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Until we meet again soon, don't forget to show your support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye, my wonderful friends.